Good afternoon. I'm Keturi DeLong, Vice President for Philanthropy and Engagement here at Texas A&M University Commerce. Go Lions. And we're here on Talk It Over with our director of our visual communication program, Lee Hackett. And this is a well-known program, globally known. And so I'm thrilled to have Lee with us. So before we get started, Lee, I'd like you to introduce yourself, a little bit about your background and why you're here at A&M Commerce.
Well, thanks. I'm so glad to be here today to talk about the program. It's always something I enjoy doing. I've actually been with A&M Commerce for over 20 years. I started out as an adjunct professor working on the main campus. I was the first person they hired to work out there for visual communication. That progressed into when they decided to move the bulk of the program of the visual communication part of the art department to downtown Dallas. They needed somebody to run that, and I was lucky enough to, when I applied for that job, to get that job. So I've been directing the program since 2000, so for quite some time now, and really have had such a wonderful experience. It started out with just me, and now there are 4 of us that are full-time faculty with just an enormous group of adjuncts that also help us in the program.
Fantastic. Well, we are glad you accepted and you came to Commerce too. You've made quite an impact already. So you mentioned 20 years and 20 years in Dallas. So Dallas is not new for A&M Commerce, and it's certainly not new for the visual communication group. So can you tell me a little bit about your 20-year history in Dallas for the university and what that looks like?
Well, absolutely. I think what prompted that move was when we had been located in Commerce, we were bringing in professionals to teach in the classroom. And so we were bringing them to us. And I think the overarching idea was, wouldn't it be smarter to take our students in the program to Dallas to be in the middle of everything, to not only be able to use the rich pool of professionals that and alumni that we can have that stand at the front of the room for us and teach these students, but also for our students to start those pathways and make those relationships that help them get a job once they get out of school. So we're in the middle of that.
That's fantastic. So really you were pioneers in this space of A&M Commerce, bringing our education to the workforce, to relevant practitioners, and to our students.
Absolutely. Urban pioneers. We love it.
I'm going to call you Urban Pioneer Lee Hackett from now on.
That's a long title.
Yeah. It is, but it works. And I think it accurately describes what you do. Now, visual communication. What does that mean? What does that look like at A&M Commerce? What does that mean to us and to our students and to the workforce?
Well, we kind of have a unique setup in where we have our students, our undergrad students are on our main campus for a couple of years where they're getting their Art Core Foundation and their university studies and getting that base of knowledge that we want our university students to have. And then they're going to make that jump through, and they go through a portfolio review, and then they join us in Dallas. And then that lets us have them right in that hub. And so we have 3 areas of study within visual communication, 3 areas of emphasis. We have art direction. And if you think about that, that's really concept print and video and online advertising. We have design, which you might think about as packaging or branding or creating identity. And then we have new media, which could be web interactive and motion or UX UI. So we've stayed current with what it is that we're teaching. We kind of look at our curriculum as a living document to stay up with this, because this is such an ever evolving industry and field in what it is that we're doing. So to keep that currency, as I've mentioned before, we've got 4 full-time faculty, and all of us are professional practitioners. But we also too have a wonderful set of adjuncts that come in at the undergraduate level and help us. So a student that's studying art direction, the teacher at the front of the room has 2 Super Bowl commercials in their portfolio. Or the motion graphics teacher is who handles all the animation for McDonald's. Or your design teacher that might be teaching you packaging has handled packaging for Fossil. So we keep that just elevated ability at the front of the room to really show those students what the pathway is like. And I just encourage the adjuncts. It's not just talking about the subject that you're teaching, but bringing in your life experience. What happened to you today at work? How did you deal with that client situation? And I think that what that does is it really brings in that idea of professional practice, not just theory, but how are you successful in the field once you graduate?
That's fantastic. And I think that's a hallmark of an A&M Commerce degree, right? We have workforce ready students and they get that hands-on practice, and they have teachers who have that relevant skill set in the workforce currently. So that is music to my ears and certainly aligns with who we've always been and who we always will be. You mentioned something about the portfolios that some of your faculty have and the relevance. What might, for the alumni listening and other people watching today, where may we have seen some of the output or the products of some of our alumni?
Well, you can see that in a Bridgestone tire commercial that was a Super Bowl ad. That was one of the favorite in the first year that it was shown. You might see that in Chick-fil-A advertising that you see on the billboards with the wonderful cows. Dodge Ram commercials could be brought to you by one of our alumni. Packaging at Fossil, we have a wonderful set of alumni that are at Fossil. And so I think that what people sometimes you don't realize that everything in your life is designed. And so it might not be a big billboard, it might be something simple, but we like to think that we teach our students really design thinking and creative problem solving. And so to really look at what the product is supposed to be, who is that supposed to serve, who is my client. And so no matter how big or how small that is, that it really is a solution that is design thinking driven and conceptual in its nature.
Fantastic. Design thinking, that term, you hear it a lot and some people aren't familiar with it. So simply put, what is design thinking?
I think if you thought about it, you would think it's a process of creative problem solving. And when you're in that and understanding when you're looking at that problem and what you're wanting to do with it is continually going back to who is it serving. If it's a product, who is the product for? If it's a process, who is the process supposed to help? And going back to that and really bringing in what we look at as far as how we have an idea and how we serve that idea through the process all the way to a finished product.
Very cool. So is it kind of like very client-centered? Like in philanthropy,
Absolutely.
We're donor-centered. So we're always thinking about the donor and their experience. So you're putting the same thought to the consumer in your visual communication.
Absolutely. Everything that we do is client-driven. Even when our students come over and taking what we refer to as our VisCom core and learning those really introductory skill sets that we feel that the students should have, every single thing that we give them to learn always goes back to being client driven. So if we're teaching software, it's not about just learning how to work the software, but it's using the software to answer a question. And so that really, for us, everything that we can do, we want to be reflective of professional practice. So that kind of stays in line with what we feel like our goal is getting them ready to graduate. So keeping that in line and making sure that everything comes back to who are we speaking to and who are we trying to help.
Well, you're doing it well, no doubt. You are globally recognized. So I do want to spend a moment. I'd like to ask and highlight the global recognition of our students. So can you talk a little bit about that and who our competitors are in the space too?
Absolutely. Well, and I mean, we're in an incredibly competitive region of the United States for visual communication. And so we have our neighbors to the north and to the west and to the south that also have VisCom programs. Many times when people see the level of recognition that our program receives through what our students do, they assume that we're much larger than what we are. But we're lean, and some of the things that have recently happened to us, one, the students in the program have garnered over 150 recognitions over the past 2 years at the local, national, and international level. One thing that just happened recently is we were named to the top 50 graphic design schools in the country by Animation Career Review. We're number 31. We really are very proud of that. That particular listing is not a paid for placement listing, but really a true barometer of who is producing talent in the country. So a couple of, I think, the highlights of what the students have done. We are consistently recognized in Graphice, which is an international new talent design annual, which comes out in a very beautiful hardbound book, but is also posted archivally on the web. And so over 1,000 international students from 60 different schools applied for, in universities, entered this competition. And we came away with 5 gold, 15 silver, and 18 honorable mention recognitions in that. And it also too, this is the first time that we've had that, at that level of recognition, we had all of our areas recognized. So we had design, art direction, we had motion and video, screen print, letterpress. So we were just kind of hit everything that we do. So we were very excited about that level for the students. Recently there's an Addy, it's called the Addies competition that's by the American Advertising Federation, and it's their awards, and it starts at a national level. I mean, just all over the nation. Locally, about 30,000 students participate, and it goes from a local level to a district level, and then on to a national level. So we were recognized at the local level with 3 golds, 3 silvers, and a bronze. And then work moved on to the district level, where we got a gold and a silver, and also one of only 2 special judges awards. And those students, their work is represented at the national level, and we'll find out about their success in June. So we're fingers crossed on that. And also, we just had a student. It's kind of a new contest or participation for us, is the London International Creative Competition, and so we just had a student recognized in that as well. So it comes consistently. It's not something that we see every now and then we have a really good year. The students are consistent in what it is that they do, and I think that not only is great for the program, we love having that and that recognition, but it also too, as far as what it does for the student, is a confidence builder, an understanding of who the competition is for when they get out. And in some cases, when they go to these conferences, it also too allows them to meet who they're going to be either working with or competing for a job against. So we really value that part of the program.
That's fantastic. Lee, I want to make sure I heard you correctly. This past year, you had 150 recognitions?
Over the past 2 years.
2 years. And how many students enrolled?
We have now, as far as because the enrollment is, we've got about 130 between campus and Dallas. And so we have our freshmen.
130 students with 150 recognitions over the past 2 years.
Well, and out of those 130, only 80 are in Dallas. And out of those 80, only the tier 2, our junior and seniors are competing. So that takes it really down to a group of about 40 that are achieving this level of success. So
we have a very small program with outrageous success. Now that makes sense why people think we're much larger than we are, but it sounds to me just the quality is fantastic. So how would you describe our differentiators? Why are our students so productive and getting all of these accolades?
I really think, I think there's a myriad of reasons. I think that one of them is we really keep our classes small. Our class size is 14:1. I think that what that allows is us to really know who our students are and have that time to spend with them and mentor them. And it's not just, okay, I've got them in class, I'm going to look at their work, but really getting to know them as people and helping them figure out what their specific strengths are. and where we see them and, really being able to be successful, helping them understand what their points of difference are, and something that they are really, that might not even realize how strong they are and how naturally talented they are in it. So I think that has an enormous amount to do with the success that we have is our size. I think we are also too incredibly current in what it is that we teach. I think that's helped by the adjuncts as well as the profession, the faculty that are in the room. We all stay at the cutting edge of what is going on in the industry and bring that completely, all of its facets into the classroom with us. And I think that helps them understand what it really is and how competitive this field is.
Fantastic. Your first point really hits on something else that I hear over and over again about A&M Commerce and the Lion family, and that is that we feel like family. And these small classes, they get to know you, the faculty. You understand them as human beings, which then translates into their work, which I think is phenomenal. And you may have mentioned earlier, I'm going to bring it up, that you found that your students call you Mama Lee, which
I cannot believe you repeated that.
I said I wouldn't, but this is proof that it's family.
Yes, they said that for, I think, a little while behind my back, and I'm sure that there's going to be some that, if they're not watching now, when they watch this later, are going to get a big kick out of the fact that you just did that to me. So
I hope I didn't embarrass you, but I do think it really illustrates that, what we do here, the small intimate classes, that personal growth contributes to growth far beyond graduation and in the accolades and everything. So that's fantastic. And of course, the current and relevant practitioners in the classroom, I think that's fantastic. And you're right, that certainly contributes to their success. So it sounds like you have a long history, 20-year history of success in Dallas. So what will this move north, a little bit north in Dallas, do for your program?
Well, in addition to the building on the history that we've got, I think that it's going to raise our visibility. I think being part of a much larger presence from A&M Commerce, I think, is really going to do nothing but help us strengthen our pathways and relationships to the design agencies and studios that we have now. Help, continue to help our internship opportunities and job opportunities for our students to grow. I think it's going to help us, forge some new pathways. With Dallas College, I think is someplace that we're very interested in working with them on there being a smooth transition from what they offer to the possibilities of what we have. Another thing too is because of who all we're going to have at this location, I just see that there's opportunity from within to have some real interdisciplinary options for our students. I think you and I talked before where I just said, we've got ag growing the tomatoes, we've got the business school that could market and come up with a plan for the tomatoes, and we've got design students who could package the tomatoes, and we've got all of those opportunities all in one building now. And I just find that to be just the newness and the opportunity there is just incredibly exciting. And one of the things too that we haven't talked about very much is our incredible MFA program within visual communication. And I think that the possibilities for them, especially with the School of Business being there, are enormous, because our MFA program is not a portfolio building program, but it really is something that empowers the design business entrepreneur. And so our students within that program, they might own a design agency, or they might be a teacher that's looking to teach at the university level. And so we have just a real strong, very different point, just a huge point of difference where the students are coming in and learning how to analyze their creative process, so they can go on and just be a stronger problem solver. We've got, they're learning how to teach, which means learning how to handle pedagogy and write curriculum. They actually do have a class on and build their own curriculum for a program, which is always so exciting to watch. and how they're bringing in design responsibility, inclusivity into that. And also too, they're kind of the tagline we use for our MFA program is get eliminated and keep at night and keep your day job. Because all of our, I know, isn't that great?
I like that. That's clever. Well done.
All of our MFA classes are taught at night because most of these people are working in the studio all day or they're working in the classroom all day. And so we want to make continuing their education something that's reachable. And then something that they can also, they can bring that with them, whether they're going to teach immediately upon graduation, or they're going to go back to the studio and take those and strengthen their professional practice. Because we have 100% placement rate for our graduates that are deciding to go directly into teaching. So we're very proud of that. And we have that same dynamic in the MFA classroom that we do in the undergrad, where we have incredible people at the front of the room. We have an entrepreneurial class where actually one of our alumni teaches the class, and he's one of the founders of a company called Pickup. And that was the Perot Foundation thought that was such an incredible idea that they put $1 million into it. So students are really learning how to come up with those ideas, those conceptual ideas. And then they carry that on through what they're doing with their incredible thesis exhibition work, which is looking at, kind of choosing a problem to solve within a social, an educational, an economic, context and significance. So, we've got students that are, that looked at and thought there's a need for there to be the skill of construction. We've kind of lost that. And so, and her family, they were hands-on builders. And she used her thesis to address this need. And the construction company Beck bought that curriculum from her and put that into play. And I think that that's an incredible reflection of what it is that we do that's current in solving problems now. We have students right now that are in the program right now looking at how to solve the problem of food waste from restaurants, all the way to how to preserve West Texas honky-tonk country music. And so it just really is looking at that. And we're so proud of what it is that they do and taking that and really illustrating what design problem thinking is, so very proud of that.
I love the problem solving approach and the kinds of problems you described. Both honky-tonk and reducing food waste are critical. And I know our brains are hardwired for stories and stories through visualization. And so I think no better group than yours to tackle these problems. We have a lot of questions coming in. If I can take a couple. Of course, I have more questions too, but I'll share the platform. Some people were excited about applying to your program, and Christy did put links in to apply to the program. So I'm grateful for that. We also had a question about study abroad. Are there any international opportunities for our students?
Oh, great. Yes, we actually have. Right now we have 2, and I think that we'll expand that. One is a study abroad that's in Great Britain, and it's a 6 weeks long class that I actually lead that is graphic design and wayfinding. And so we go over, we live in the dorm at University of Westminster. We are true students and educators while we're there, and we get to take our students and learn in that incredible environment. So they have the opportunity to visit design studios within London and agencies, and really look at the differences between what goes on there in the industry and what, and be able to compare and contrast to that to the United States. And we do some problem solving while we're there. So it's very, very exciting. The other one is and we're hoping we get back to these soon, that we have a sister university that we do a cross-cultural design class with, where students from China look at a social problem in the United States and look at solving that. And our students look at one in China. And so during a semester in the spring, they actually meet we do Zoom meetings with those students, and so they get to know each other. And then in the summer, our students go to China and get the opportunity to meet those students firsthand and put on a show of their work. So right now, those are the two incredible opportunities that we have to study abroad.
That's fantastic. So our students can have a rural, an urban, Dallas, and global experience while in our programs in visual communication here.
Absolutely.
That's exciting. Now I kind of want to sign up or register. But so luckily Christy gave me the link, so I can do that if I feel so moved. But what have I not asked you, Lee, that you'd like people to know about what you do?
I think a lot of times people, even I can talk about this for as long as you'll have me. But a lot of times seeing what it is that we do is what brings it home. I have parents that come in and tour that looked at, are a little questioning on, my student wants to, my child wants to go into this area. We really don't know, even though you might describe it, what it is that you guys do. And so we have set up a Flickr site that I think Christy might drop in, that anyone can go visit and see the award-winning work that I've been talking about. And I think that it makes more sense because it is visual communication on what it is that we do. And it just shares the story of what our students do and what they accomplish. So that, and I think it's great to know too, while we have a huge contingency of alumni here in Dallas, you can also find our students in New York and Chicago and LA and San Francisco. You might find them running, the creative director of the Perot Museum, or you might find them at NASA. So we have students all over the place, and we just couldn't be more proud of the reach and the success that they have.
Do you have a favorite success story that comes to mind? Not that you have favorites, but if you had to choose one today to share.
Gosh, there's so many. There's one that's kind of an accident, kind of an interesting. We had a student that graduated in art direction and had done really well, had received a lot of attention, a lot of awards, and went and worked at a top agency on the West Coast, and did well there as an art director. And then and this is kind of what happens sometimes, kind of came across something that was like, a video, and he took all the skills that he knew as an art director and made this short video and entered it into a contest and wound up winning. And the contest was put on by Ron and Dallas Howard. And so he proceeded to be able to go and travel with them and go to the Cannes Film Festival and come back to the United States at the ripe age of 23 and have his own web video division within his agency. So to me, there's those big successes that are like that. But to me, I also too think the students that come to us that maybe are first-time university attendees in their family, that have a successful time while they're in school, and they get out and they get that great job at a boutique agency here in Dallas. I think those success stories to me are just as rich as the big glamorous ones that we have. So it makes that, so with all that being said, I think it's hard for me to pick out a specific one. I think we look at all of them as their individual rich success stories.
I love that. And it's a journey for everyone who goes through your program. I know that. And but that is a great story. I'm a Ron Howard fan for other reasons too. They're fantastic. I see a lot of questions coming in and just people excited about what's happening with visual communication. You have some people cheering for you too, which does not surprise me. What's on the horizon? What's on the trajectory? I know you've grown in prominence and relevance and successes. So looking ahead, what do you see?
With this move, I feel like having that place in having room to grow, I think is going to lead to new and dynamic things happening in the program. We're moving into a space which incredible location. And I can't talk about the visibility enough. Which will be something new for us. So we're very, very excited about that. But we move into that space with a press room that's over 2,000 square feet. And
Wow.
it's a huge point of difference because the skills that students learn in that, we have, a letter press from the 1800s all the way to cutting edge screen printing equipment that we teach students, and they can use those and use these things in their design solutions. And there's just been a real kind of a renaissance of that tactile, hands-on touch of things. And so that part is really great. We're going to have a room where it really is about making. And so we're going to have a laser cutter and a really high-end Riso printer. And while those things might not mean that much, what they mean to our students is they're going to be able to expand their solutions. They're going to be able to look at rapid prototyping and not be limited to what they can make, to show a cool bottle that has etching on it or a great package. We're going to be able to help them even more than we have before reach those goals that they have for their design solutions. So I see that, just what we're offering the students and the potential for our growth there to be something that I think we're all excited about.
I think you're spreading some serious excitement today. Lee, what have I not asked you that you want to be sure people know?
Gosh, I feel like we've covered a lot. I would say this. I would say if there's something that you have a question about, reach out and ask. I think that you can go through Keturi or you can come straight to me. Christy can put my email in the link. I think that's one of the great things about our school is when you're interested in something or you have a question, I think you can go right to the source and find out more about something that you're interested in. So I think that would be it.
Absolutely. Contact Mama Lee. Say it one final time. No, Lee Hackett. lee.hackett@tnuc.edu.
That's it.
But Lee, thank you so much for your time today, what you're doing and your team is doing, your staff and your faculty, and especially your students and alumni. Amazing work. It is fun to watch. And like you said, you have to see it to believe it. So I hope everyone watching will really look through the Flickr site and see the tremendous work that's happening.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I love talking about the program.
Of course. Well, for today, I'll just end with Go Lions and hope to see you all in the visual communication program.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.